Welcome back to the channel, you guys. This is your girl, Wicked Raider 22, coming at you with another video from my other free-to-play account. Still the same clan, though. You know I have not forgotten. If you haven't joined yet, 22WK. If you are in the hunt for a new clan to join, we would love to have you. But I have pushed myself, or I'm pushing myself, to kind of introduce a couple of champions that I've been lucky enough to pull, but haven't found very much information about. And one of those champions, one of those epic champions, is Pharsalas Gravedirt. I went on the hunt about this guy, and the only thing I could find was this design. Oh my gosh, y'all, look at that. Like, just take a second. Just the shield on this guy is pretty amazing. The aesthetic is so nice. Candles burning and all. Like, he is awesome from Knight's Revenant faction. But the only thing I could find about Pharsalas Gravedirt was the fact that he was a shovel dude. And that is about it. Wasn't given very much love, but then I go to ratings, and I'm going to say the community may disagree with some of the creators online. I'll be honest, as a level 30 on this particular account, this guy has a little smack to him. Like, he does it for me. I'm going to be honest, y'all. And you know, when it comes to artifacts, we're always limited on every account. I am still using 2-star, 3-star artifacts. So we are not changing the world here. Trying to move up to the point where I have those 4-star artifacts to be used. But for this champion in particular, I am not mad. I am not mad. He seems pretty well rounded according to the review. So let's take a look, of course, at the skills. So I always love to see all of these slots filled. It'll be great to actually have an opportunity to awaken this particular champion once we are able to get our account to level 42. But first skill on hand is Grasp of the Grave. It attacks one enemy, has a 20% chance of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn. Places a 50% decrease attack debuff for 1 turn if the target is under a fear or true fear debuff. So he's one of those that comes with that if this, then this will happen, that contingency, which often is not my favorite. But I will say that his damage is based on defense. And the good thing about defensive champions that you will learn as you go along the way, they are much easier to build out because they are much harder to kill. And so that's been a pretty good thing for me. You can increase the damage inflicted by 10%. You can also increase the buff debuff chance by 20% as well. If you do not have another champion with provoke at this point, which you should, most of us have Ultimate Death Knight, for example, as one of our provokers. If you have been logging in probably more than a month, I would say if you search your account, you probably got 1 or 2 provokers on your team. So let's go to skill number 2. Necrosis. This is one of those skills that I can appreciate. Attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a 100% heal reduction debuff for 2 turns. And you can get this down to a 3-turn cooldown. What I like about it, if you have not played around with heal reduction, if you are to the point where you are trying to advance in your dungeons, this becomes a big one. Kind of reminds me when I'm in Spirit Dungeon, going for potions, for example, and that boss is able to heal herself. It doesn't turn it off, but it definitely helps in that area. I'm also thinking of when you are in campaign, for example, you have a couple of bosses that will heal themselves or heal their minions. There's also something that you can avoid as well. So pretty helpful in that area, and it attacks all enemies. Coffin Bulwark places a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns, equal to 30% of their max HP. If I am a late, early game, early, mid game, this is another one that can make a difference. That 30% for a lot of your 5-star and 6-star champions can be the difference between winning a battle and not. This skill also places a 15% strengthened buff on all allies for 2 turns. You can also bring this down to a 3-turn cooldown. I would love to have another book applied to get this to a 2-turn cooldown. It does come with an aura, increases ally defense and faction crips by 30%. And this is a nice one. Ally defense is just huge. At this point on this particular account, you guys will notice I don't have a 6-star champion. I haven't gotten to that point. I'm right at level 30 for this particular account. It's actually one of those accounts that I run mainly for campaign purposes and to also introduce myself to other champions. Now, mastery wise on defense, I would love to kind of see the differences that you can make with him. I've had a chance to go in and place a couple of artifacts on him. It's nothing that I am overly excited about. It's definitely something I want to go back and rework for this champion. But as you can see, speed is not the greatest, but he is a defensive based champion. Crit damage is already at 50% there. Attack base is at 529. So not the lowest stats that we've seen. For an epic champion, it's not going to be the best stats I've seen either. But he has not been hard to campaign with just on that team. And he definitely will help out your team as well. Right now in campaign for this particular account, I am on hard level and working through the deadlands themselves. So I'm going to assume this is probably not going to be much of a challenge, but we'll see how that works. I'll run with these 4. So just the first team of your Ultimate Death Knight. We have Kale, Sniper, and then Pharsalas Gravedirt as well. We're going to run them and just kind of give you an idea of what he can do. I have him in that last position, which is normally your nuking position. But he will, I don't think he really kicks in until maybe the last wave. So throwing out that first attack, of course, and usually he hits with that second, or maybe sometimes he'll jump to his third skill. And this team works pretty well together. He does a nice little set of damage, even though he doesn't get very much opportunity in there. But I'm figuring I should be able to run through hard level campaign pretty smoothly. And then I'll go back and kind of work on those 2 stars across the board for this one as well. And we'll compare damage and kind of see what else he has going with them. So just throughout that other attack and place that provoke, not doing a lot of damage there, but you've got these other guys that are front and center for him. Let's take out my other 2 and let's see if these 2 guys can do it together. So between him and Ultimate Death Knight, he may die. We may die on this one. We shouldn't, but we'll see how that one goes. Just kind of give you a comparison as to the run. Now, again, this is an account that's sitting at level 30. Pharsalas for me would probably be one of those champions I would pull probably up until maybe level 50 or 60. I can kind of see where in maybe dungeons, maybe even faction, he may come in handy, just based on that second and third skill that we were talking about. Having the provoke is not uncommon for him or for champions that you're going to be pulling over the next couple of weeks, definitely. So if you haven't pulled a champion that has that skill set in particular, if you're looking for something that's more niche, for example, it took me a while to pull a champion that had HP burn. I don't know what it was. I could pull some of the highest rated nukers in the game for early game, at least. And yet and still, I was not pulling anybody with HP burn. And that was one of those skills I definitely wanted to add to the team, if nothing else. Just having it available to you until you get really, really familiar with it and comfortable using it. So comparison here with the 2 of these guys, this does a little bit better. Ultimate Death Knight is 5-starred. Both of these guys are 5-starred. He's level 50. Pharsalas is sitting at level 36. And their damage is about 8,000 apart. So it's not going to be a huge difference either. Defense is provided by both. I would actually like to see Pharsalas maybe in Lifesteal is what I thought about. Or Cruel, maybe another one that's good for him. We'll just keep going forward with these 2 guys to see how far we can actually make it, because that's going to be a good one as well. Now, when you are running into a new champion, for example, and this is something that I've kind of run into before, I usually try to use any gear that has already been upgraded, just to place that equipment on the champion to kind of run them through campaign a couple of times, usually surrounded by food to get a feel for the champion. If I think at that point, after we've done a couple of levels in campaign, that this champion may actually be usable in some other areas, I normally either go to arena next or I head to a dungeon and just pull for potions. So that's going to be the other thing that I would normally do. What this has allowed me to do is, number one, not place my highest quality gear on a champion that I don't end up using. And that's probably one of the hardest parts. Even on my pay to play account, guys, and you've heard me say this before, it becomes extremely costly when you start moving 5 and 6 star artifacts. You've got to be careful. Once you've added in glyphs, you've really been working on this piece. You forged a really good piece, and now it's like, okay, I want this piece to be moved to this particular champion. That becomes a really tough one. So looking here, Ultimate Death Knight in comparison is at 69,600 on attack, and Pharsalas is at 64,244. So not bad at all. He was a direct shard pull for me. I want to say, actually, I believe I looked up and pulled him from a blue shard. I'm pretty sure I did. I've had some pretty unique pulls. I've actually been getting some dupes of quite a few of my champions. So you may have noticed, even logging into this account, my shard number was really, really different. But I did a pull for the most recent tournament or event, and it was the one for upgrades. And so pulling champions was another one. And I pulled just about every shard that I had collected. I mean, we have been collecting pretty well. My goal is to do the same thing for the next Clan v Clan. So it was nice to have that available, but he was one of the champions that was pulled that actually proved to be a pretty good pull so far. So this battle is probably going to give them a little bit more. It's nice to have Ultimate Death Knight. I avoid him as always when it comes to arena, but he's one of those characters, those champions that I love to have in other areas of the game. He can just be so annoying depending on how he's been geared and mastered out when it comes to arena. But having that too hard to kill or too hard to die skill is going to be a good one as well. So you can kind of see as the time goes on, there's going to be a little bit of separation between these two. But Pharsalas by far is not a champion that I would say I was disappointed to pull. Would I 6-star him? I'm going to say at this point, the answer is no. He's an epic that I will definitely fully ascend. I will, if I have the chance to awaken him, I will probably go ahead and awaken him as well. Maybe once I've had a chance to improve his gear, and I kind of see, the difference between adding masteries to him, it may change my mind. But on this account, I've had the opportunity to pull a couple of epics. And I can't say that right now, Pharsalas Gravedirt, I keep saying Gravedigger. Gravedirt is giving me the 6-star kind of feels. If you guys have worked with him, if you pulled him before, let me know. What are your thoughts? Love how this guy looks. Oh my gosh. Like, best shield that I've seen probably so far in the game. Y'all, that is just, I just keep looking at it. That is amazing. Like, that is absolutely amazing. Not a horrible champion, not a trash champion by far, but he will definitely be used. I can say that for this account. I would love to hear your opinion. If you guys have pulled him, what are you using him for? What areas have you discovered that he works best in? What do you plan on doing with them moving forward? Is probably going to be the other thing that I would love to know. Do you have or have you pulled any other champions from this particular faction, from Knights Revenant, epic level and above, that have really changed the way you've decided to play the game? As always, it's good to be able to get a couple of thoughts out there. If you have not joined the clan, be sure to join. If you have not subscribed, guys, 94% of my viewers have not subscribed. So definitely jump in, hit that subscribe button. We upload material every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. and would love to have you join the crew. I will see you soon.